Hello, Steven.
Hello, long time no see.
Long time no see. My wonderful guest today is Steven Isserlis, who, whether or not he likes it to admit it, but he is essentially a part of the VRS family.
When did I first come?
I'm
1988?
trying to, was it, yes, I think
To
to the
the
festival,
festival.
wasn't it?
It was
Yes.
about 88 or 89. It was before my son Gabriel was born. He's now
Yes.
31. So,
No, is Gabriel 31? Oh my God, that's incredible. So how are you doing? I see you're actively concertizing again.
trying, except this summer is turning into be the worst nightmare yet.
Why?
One of the,
Because
I
of
mean, meant to be
Brexit?
going. No, Brexit's sort of okay for me because I've managed to get another passport.
What?
But no, because of the virus. I just discovered in the last few days that Switzerland, where I was meant to be going 3 times this summer, have put us on a red list, so I would have to quarantine for 10 days every time I go there. And then Dubai, where I was strangely meant to give 2 concerts, I just realized we put them on the red list, so I'd have to go to a hotel for 10 days both times I came back. So it's not working out brilliantly at the moment.
Stephen, have you had both shots?
I have.
And even with that, you still have to quarantine.
Yeah. It doesn't make any difference yet.
Oh my God. So when is your, so are you going to do those dates in Switzerland?
Well, I hope so. Yeah, but I'll have to go in both times a week earlier than I was meant to.
Is Switzerland is it a concerto or is it
First,
recital?
well, there's 3 things: Verbier Festival, which
Oh,
is Brahms double
yes.
with Josh and
Yes.
recital with Josh and Kissin, and a recital with Connie Shee, whom I met in Vancouver, with whom I'm actually doing a record in a couple of weeks.
Another one.
Hyperion. Yeah.
So what are you doing this time?
We're doing music from for the decade 1878 to 1888. And it's beautiful. I mean, actually, I don't know whether I planned my program for coming back to you. Sorry, my lights are
You haven't.
making a breakdown. Oh, well, I was thinking we could maybe call the program Music from the 1880s or Music from a Golden Decade of Cello or something, and include some of that stuff. But there's also the Brahms F major and the Franck and things. So there's a lot of. It's for some reason that 10 years an explosion of cello music. So,
Isn't that interesting? Do you have a theory about that?
there must be, I think, partly coincidence and partly there just happened to be a lot of good cellists around then.
I want to ask you to tell me a bit about Prussia Cove, or tell the people who are watching us, because it's your baby now, isn't it, Prussia Cove? Can you
Well, I'm
tell us
artistic
what
director.
exactly? Yes. Well, and so does that mean you are in charge of who attends, or is there a jury? How do you decide who is going to come to Prussia Cove?
Well, there's 2 parts to it.
Yes,
The first
and
part is
what exactly
masterclass.
is it? Yes.
Okay, the first part is masterclasses. So
Right.
then people just send audition tapes
Yes.
and we listen. And I get a hell of a lot well, we all get a lot of applications. I think I like the last time I actually did auditions, I think I had 121 or something for 11 places. So it's not easy to decide.
No.
Something like that. And that's very hard. I hate listening, knowing you're going to hurt so many people's feelings. So I don't like that. Once we get done there, of course, and it's not just me teaching by any means. It's we have violin classes. The main ones teachers these days being Gerhard Schultz and Andras Keller. Gerhard Schultz having studied with Chandor Weig, who started the whole thing, and then been in the Alban Berg Quartet for many years. And then Andras Keller is Hungarian and very much part of the Hungarian scene, which we're very involved with. And then piano teachers, we have Thomas Addis and Ferenc Rados. Tom, I know you know. Ferenc Rados and his wife Rita Wagner, who are just wonderful. And as is
How
Tom,
old is Ferenc Rados now?
He must be about 85 or something, getting
Wow.
up there. But
Yeah.
you never know.
No, really.
He just had a wonderful picture taken with Kurtak, who's 95.
Oh my goodness.
They're
Yes.
both laughing because Radosh said to Kurtag they want a picture of the oldest chimpanzees. For some reason, Kurtag found this hilarious. He keeps telling me and
Oh, that's
laughing
wonderful.
uproariously every time. And then Ralph Kirschbaum and I are the main cello teachers, and Thomas Riebel and a variety of viola teachers go through. So anyway, we got violin, viola, piano and chamber music, and cello, although actually I tend to take almost as many violinists as I do cellists. I don't know, 4 or 5 violinists and violists and 6 cellists these days. So yeah.
And so when does that happen? At what time
That's
period?
at Easter. And we all go down. It's in 2 parts. That's why there are 2 teachers of each instrument. And we do 10 days each. And we all go down there in this magical, wonderful place. And my favorite place in the world. And we have every lunch and dinner together in this beautiful dining hall. And, and chamber music goes on among the young people to like 3 in the morning It's very, very special. It is a bit like Hogwarts, really, for musicians.
The students, or the people who audition to come to Prussia Cove, come from all over the place?
Yeah, they do. A lot from America, Canada, Europe, of course. Well, until Brexit, they came from Europe anyway. We hope they still will. Not many from Russia. There's some Russians, and there's some from the Far East.
How then? Kronberg is the other.
Kronberg, yeah.
Kronberg. And how does that compare? And you teach at Kronberg too, don't you?
I do. I go there quite often. Well, I haven't been able to recently, but I go as often as I can. Yeah, that's very different. That's much more. I mean, they're resident throughout the academic year.
Oh.
And it's much more sort of driven in a way. I mean, the Prussia Cove, the concerts are not the important. There are concerts, but they're not the important things, and it's really nothing to do with people's careers or anything. Whereas Kronberg, people who go there tend to win competitions, and the people who are most beloved in Prussia Cove are definitely not necessarily the people who win competitions or have big careers.
Yes.
It's a very different ethos.
If you go in there to teach for a while, how long do you go for? How long would Andras go for?
A couple of days.
Oh, is that all? So it's sort of like a master class.
Yeah, it is a masterclass basically, and then always actually private lessons in a way. A few people may be listening, but then of course we also have the Chamber Music Festival should be every 2 years. Of course, the last one was cancelled, and then there's all sorts of festivals in Kronberg. It's much more of an industry. I mean, it's great. I like it, and it's brilliantly run, but it is much more of an industry than Prussia Cove.
So, what's coming up for you other than Switzerland and Dubai?
That's mostly in a prom. Yeah.
What are you playing?
Walton Concerto with the London Philharmonic. And Jorovsky, who I love. It's very good.
Oh, great.
It's his last concert, actually, as principal conductor, the LPO. Yes, well, if that happens.
Who's going to take over from him?
Ed Gardner, I think.
Oh.
Who's very good.
Yes. Jorovsky's been there a long time, hasn't he?
He has. He's done wonderful things for the orchestra.
And where's he going, Stephen?
Well, he's got an orchestra in Berlin. Where else is he going? He might be taking over an opera company. I can't remember.
Yeah.
I don't know him so well. I don't see him often, but I like him. He's a good musician. So I don't know. I mean, the autumn is ostensibly very full, but you just don't know.
Well, in a way, I'm glad. So you and Connie are scheduled to come back to us, not this next season, but the following one.
That's right. Yeah.
By which time I'll really be ancient, and hopefully this virus will really be a thing of the past.
Let's hope.
Who knows,
I know. I mean, Samantha at the Washington Performing Arts Society, she said they're not going to have full audiences, she thinks, until the fall of 22.
Yes. Oh, of 22?
Yeah.
Really?
I think that's when it'll be back to normal. I don't know.
Oh, that's interesting, because from what Vancouver, the numbers have gone right down and they're vaccinating like crazy. Yeah. Finally, things are rolling now. And
that's good.
I believe that our health officer, Bonnie Henry, who's become something of a legend, is saying that if things continue the way they are, that she expects by the fall, September, October, we will be able to have audiences of 1,500 or more.
Wow, wonderful. Lucky you. We were doing well, and then the Delta variant arrived, and now everything's gone.
Yes. Well, I think, I mean, Leon and I just had our second shots yesterday.
Oh, just yesterday?
Just yesterday.
Wow.
So, hopefully, I mean, doesn't this all depend upon how many people are vaccinated?
It does, but also this new strain is just so incredibly easy to catch. And maybe it won't make people very ill, but of course it makes traveling impossible because nobody wants it, and we have it massively.
Yes. So I have to, I have to thank you for so many things. Yes. Because I must say, you and Andras, but particularly you, have helped us to find young musicians. And I suppose you know that Mishka is coming to play on the 3rd of April for us.
That's nice.
About which I'm thrilled. And then the other thing that you told me about was Irene Duval, the violinist. And we listened to your concert at Wigmore, and Leon and I were just blown away by her.
Right.
This is in some ways a very weird place, and I'm talking about Vancouver, because we can sell cellists like there's no tomorrow. Cellists who have names and cellists who don't have names. But we struggle to sell tickets to violin recitals.
Isn't that weird?
And I have no idea why.
That's bizarre. It's not the case here.
Totally bizarre, Stephen. We haven't had a violin recital for at least 4 years. And this coming season, we have three violinists. We have Augustin Hadelich.
Oh, yeah, very nice.
And Stephen Varts.
Yeah.
And Johan Dallena.
Oh, is he Danish?
Yes.
Yeah, I met him for a second. He's meant to be very, very good. I haven't heard him.
Yes. So, but
you have to meet. You have to meet my other star violinist then, apart from Irene.
Jonas. Yeah. Yes. The guy with the hair. The other guy.
He's
the other one with the hair.
I must say, he and his... Maybe I sent it to you, or maybe I didn't. No, I sent it to Josh, I think. They recorded he and his wife-to-be, who's also a star of mine, English cellist, Vashti Hunter. They recorded the Kodai duo together, and I don't think I've ever heard such a good performance of that piece.
Really?
Yeah. They are stunning.
Where does he live, Stephen?
Berlin. He's a character.
Yes.
But I'm thrilled you liked Irene, because I'm really behind her, and she's very shy. She's not pushy at all. So that's good.
The other musicians that you've sent my way, I love that it's through you we first found Paul Lewis.
Oh yes, who I don't know very well, I must say. But
he's a joy
lovely.
And a delight. Yes, and
he's lovely.
The other pianist that I adore from your part of the world, he's Scottish and not British. Is
Stephen Osborne.
Yes.
Yeah, he's a lovely guy. I've never played with him.
Just remarkable. But in any case, I remember you very casually saying to me in the earlier days of the festival, when I had a British violinist coming, Kathy helped me.
Kathy Gowers.
Yes, and you, in your typical offhanded way, said, she's got a boyfriend who I've heard is quite good. You should listen to him sometime. He's a pianist. And that, of course, was Paul.
That's right.
And that's how we found
nice.
Paul.
I really like Paul.
Yeah.
Very civilized.
Very, very. And so is Stephen, So, I mean, you've thrown... And then, of course, the only musician I didn't jump to in the beginning, for no other reason that I was a total idiot, was Tom Addish. I
Ah,
remember you said, and Stephen, I have had the privilege of having him here once play a
I
piano
remember.
recital. And the thing about him is, doesn't matter what he's playing. It sounds like he's composing it at the time.
Well, he says, if you hear me play, you'll hear a composer rather than a pianist. It's true. I know he's such a mind. Oh my God, what a mind. And so funny.
Where's he living now?
Here, and Los Angeles. Of course, he hasn't been able to
Yes.
be in Los Angeles for ages, but he's going back now, I think.
Ah, yes.
He's 50 now. God, we're all getting
Is
old.
he really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. My goodness. Well, he's still got a good long composing career
Yeah.
ahead of him.
He does. He's got to write something else for cello. He's quite pleased with me at the moment, I think, because I recorded his tiny little solo cello piece, actually, on my next disc, which is for Hyperion, which is already done. Solo cello, and it finishes with his piece, and it did come out quite well. And it was good, actually, because I'd been so tired. I don't know why, for the first 2 days of sessions. I didn't think I was playing my best at all, and it was a bit depressing. And then the third day, I already felt better, and things just came together, thank God. And then at the end of the session, when I'd recorded Tom's piece and he was there, I said, okay, sit down, I'm going to play you the whole program, almost the whole program. And then he was my audience. So I just had a playthrough, and I think that's a lot of what's going to be used on the disc.
Oh, that's fabulous. It's all solo cello.
Yeah, it's coming out in October, along with my new book, actually, same week as my new book.
What's your new book?
Did I not tell you about this? Oh, I just sent the final proofs off this very day. It's driven me mad. About the Bach suites.
No, you didn't tell me anything.
Didn't I? Oh, well.
No.
I kept it from you. How could I be so cruel? Yeah, well, that was a lockdown project. I was, the first lockdown, particularly when we really were quite isolated. And so I was looking at all my music for solo cello, which is why that disc came about. But also I was practicing the Bach suites a lot. And of course, I read endlessly about them and thought endlessly about them. It just came to me as I was practicing, I could write a book about these pieces. And so I suggested it to the lady at Faber's, Belinda Matthews. And she said, yes, we'll have that. So it's done, basically. I've still got annoying things to do with it, like getting permissions for quotes and things, but the basic text is done. And it's like 200 pages, just
Wow.
over.
That's a big, yeah.
It's a substantial book. Yeah, well, there's lots to say.
Is it, would you say, for the general public, or is it
It's
for
meant to be, for the
students?
music,
Yes.
rather.
Yes.
It won't be for anybody who doesn't like the Bach suites to start with, but it's for anybody who likes the
Is
Bach
there
suites.
anybody who doesn't like, have you ever
Yes.
met anyone?
Oh,
Really?
I have. Like my friend, unfortunately, late friend, Terry Jones from Monty Python, was a great
Yes.
friend. He did not like the Bach suites. He used to drive me mad.
Did he have
Some
a
people do
reason
not like
for
it.
it? No.
Well, I eventually when my recording came out, I said, come on, listen to this. And he said, oh, I still don't like them. I was driving around my car listening to them. I said,
Huh.
listen to them properly. But I don't think he did come to a concert once when I played one. He admitted at the time that it was great music, but I'm not sure he meant it.
Last night, Leon and I watched, and it's actually played before, but it was a program on PBS about the Jewish influence in musicals in America.
Oh, yeah.
And it was a wonderful film. And in one of them, because I don't know who it was, which composer it was who had worked with the Marx Brothers. I can't remember now.
Irving Berlin, maybe.
Probably Irving Berlin. And there was actually a shot of Harpo playing a clarinet, I think.
He did play clarinet quite a lot.
Yes.
True. Yeah.
Yes, I'd never seen that before. He was sort of standing in a cupboard and playing the clarinet, and then he fell over and the door closed, and that was the end of the concert. But they were such amazing. He and Chico, fantastic musicians, huh?
Yeah, well, especially Harpo. Yeah, Harpo was a very serious musician. He loved Debussy and Ravel and Fauré, and I did a radio program, a documentary about Harpo. for the BBC. So I
And
got to
what's happened to
renew.
it?
It was
What's
on.
happened to that?
I don't know. I've got it on my computer. It was on. It was actually well reviewed in The Guardian. I was very pleased. Normally, I wouldn't mention a review of cello playing, but I was quite pleased that got a very nice review.
Oh,
And yeah, it's mean that I renewed my acquaintance, my friendship, definitely friendship, with Bill Marks, his son, who's one of the most adorable men in the world, who lives in Palm Springs, in California.
and how old is he?
He's now about 84, 85.
Yes.
He's a
And what sort of a
complete,
person is he?
just funny, gentle, kind, just charming. He's absolutely charming, quite wise, and just one of the most adorable people you could ever meet. He was adopted son. He wrote a book called Son of Harpo Speaks.
Oh,
And about his
yes.
story, which is that I can't say it's a great, brilliantly written book, but it's an amazing story.
Now, weren't you also an acquaintance or acquainted with Dame Edna? Speaking of that sort of
Yes, I
thing.
was just thinking of it. Yeah, very much so. But I was meant to see him yesterday, but of course he vanished, as usual. I've seen quite a lot of him over lockdown.
Have you?
Yeah, Barry. Well, he's a good friend. I mean, he's a sort of close friend. Yeah, he lives around the corner.
Ah,
Yeah, so I saw him when we really weren't, allowed to see anybody. I would go sit with him in his garden shed, which has, and yeah, he's a great character, incredibly funny. He's like
yes.
84, 85 now too.
No,
Yeah,
really? Oh my
shocking.
goodness. Oh, yeah. Well, as I said last week in our weekly e-news, the fact that Martha Argerich has now turned 80 makes me at least feel comfortable with the fact that I'm 80.
Yeah,
I
she's
sort of
amazing.
tried. She's unbelievable, isn't
I
she? I
know, it's
mean,
so frustrating. I was meant to have all these concerts with her in China this November,
really.
and they've been postponed by a
Ah,
year. God knows if
but
they'll
just
happen there.
postponed, so they may
Well,
happen.
yeah, but when somebody's in their 80s, you don't want it postponed too long. It's a shame. We were going to do lots of stuff together, and it was brilliantly paid.
Well,
All
why
cancelled
don't you tell her that Vancouver's on the way to China?
because it isn't really.
Well, depends.
Not from Europe.
You know, I did actually book her once in
Oh, well.
1995 with Gidon Kramer,
Yeah.
and then she cancelled. And I
Yeah.
remember saying that, I wanted to have a fund, especially for Martha Argerich. So that I had the money to advertise the concert each time I booked her, and then whether or not she came, it didn't really matter. Of course, it
You should
didn't.
book her with an old person. She's very
Like
loyal
Ivry
to her friends.
Gitlis, who's not around anymore.
I know.
Yeah. I mean,
She,
who else does she plays with Nelson
Fresh, but
Fred?
it's Misha Maisky, my great friend.
Yes, yes.
And it was funny because Ivry, I really kept in touch with. He was 98, but I was calling her every 2 or 3 days during lockdown, because he was in this old people's home or
Oh
clinic or something.
no.
And then he was going downhill, downhill, down. Then one day, like a couple of weeks before he actually died, I called and he was so much brighter. I said, God, you're better. Great, what's happened? And he just held his phone up. It was on FaceTime. And there was Martha in the corner.
Oh, oh, how nice. I
She was very
remember,
loyal to him.
Stephen, when I first came to live here in 66. So this must have been 68 or so. The Vancouver Symphony was conducted by Meredith Davies at the
Oh,
time.
yeah.
And Leon and I had subscription tickets. And one night we went to the concert, and it was Ivry Gitlis, who, of course,
Wow.
we'd never heard of.
Oh, my gosh.
And he came out and he played, and Leon and I were just, it's like you hit us with a Sten gun,
I know.
and it was over, and we said, what the hell was that? It was so incredible.
I know he was, and he was adorable. It's funny. I mean, I knew, of course, he was going to die, and it was time for him to die. But still, I missed him. I still miss him because I was calling him every 2 or 3 days. He was just so much a part of my life.
Was he a good teacher?
I think he could be very inspiring to some people. I don't think he was a good teacher in sort of practical advice, but I think a lot of people did find him very inspiring. Yeah, I mean, he would sort of talk about general concepts and things. And, I played chamber music with him, not that often, but enough. I mean, controversial. We did Tchaikovsky Trio at the Wigmore. It was booed. I've hardly ever heard a boo at the Wigmore.
Really? Who played the piano?
Nelson Gerner. Who was lovely, but it wasn't right for that. He just didn't get it.
Wasn't he a protege of Marta's?
Yes, probably. Yeah. And he was great friends with Radu Lupu as well.
Now,
he's a lovely guy.
What's happened to Radu? Do you ever see or hear from him?
Yes. I did his last concert. His very last concert. It was in Lucerne.
Yeah.
And that was only 2 years ago. About 2 years ago next week. But I mean,
You don't keep in touch with him? Is he difficult?
I do, very much so.
Oh.
Well, with his wife.
Yes.
I haven't talked to him for a bit. I haven't talked to him since his birthday, I think, actually.
Is the hall in Lucerne wonderful?
Yes, it's great. I love playing there.
And what's the capacity, Stephen?
Don't know. 2,000 maybe? It's quite big. But a very good sound. I played there a lot.
Yes.
But I should have been, last autumn, I should have been South America with the Lucerne Symphony after playing in Lucerne. And then this year we were also going to be in South America, and that's cancelled. We are still supposed to play in Lucerne Festival, but again, I'll have to do quarantine if I want to do that.
Yeah. What do you do when you quarantine?
I don't know. I haven't had to do it except here, which is no problem.
No,
being home, I don't mind at all.
Yes, yes.
I don't know, like Stephen Huff's in Korea now, and he actually sounds quite cheerful. I'm surprised. Well, I'm not surprised. He always sounds cheerful. But he's in a little apartment.
Yes. Well, at least it's an apartment and not a hotel room.
Yeah, that's right.
That makes a big difference, I would imagine.
And he's found a neighbour who's also quarantining, so I think they sort of talk to each other over the balconies and sort of share food.
Yes, yes. Oh my goodness. Yeah. So, and when's your next concert in England? Oh, the Proms.
No, I got a few little ones before then. Well, getting ready for this recording with Connie, because it's all new repertoire for me. So,
and so now, will she come over to London and rehearse with you?
Yeah. Yeah, we have concerts in London, and then at a cafe. You know, the Fidelio Cafe.
Yes, it looks amazing.
I love that place. Yeah. So we're doing 4 recitals there, and then we do the recording.
Stephen, how many people do they admit to a dinner and concert?
Last summer when I played, I gave the first concerts there. It was 25. And I don't know if they pushed up now, but probably not, because, we've just been told we're not being allowed out of lockdown. So probably just 25. It's lovely there. It's a great atmosphere. Or at least it was last summer. I loved it.
How is the sound? I mean...
It's very good, surprisingly good. It's very high feeling. Yeah. And it's run by a musician, so...
Is it?
Yeah,
so that makes a big difference.
Yeah, a pianist conductor, he really knows his stuff.
Yeah, and they've got do they bring a piano in or do they own one?
Yeah. No, they bring one in. But of course, last summer, having said I would never perform a Bach suite in public again, I did 2 of them. I did all solo recitals there. I
wish Vancouver weren't so far away from the rest of the world.
I know, but it does give it a certain charm.
Yeah.
And the Australians feel the same. But the difference is in Australia, if you go there, you're going to play in probably every major city.
Yes.
But Vancouver, it's tricky. I mean, if you're lucky enough to get a tour of the States and Canada, great. But it's more difficult to arrange somehow. Australia, there's like 3 promoters who will guarantee it's worth your going over.
Canada's a strange country in some ways because the big cities are so far apart from one another. And the connections are much stronger going down south if you're on the West Coast than they are the Rockies are just a barrier.
They get in the way,
Yeah, I don't know why.
Have them removed. Come on. Dynamic.
I can move mountains. No, I'd rather spend my energy getting a decent concert hall built in downtown in Vancouver.
Yeah, good luck with that. Have you any progress?
We're working on it.
Great, wonderful.
We are. I mean, the biggest challenge in Vancouver is finding the land.
Yeah.
Money is secondary. It's the
Really? That's
land.
amazing. In London, we have the land, but not the money. So we're never going to get a proper
I know.
concert
I
hall
can't believe this,
or an
Stephen.
orchestra. I know.
Isn't it amazing that in a major city like
I know.
London,
There is no
there's
decent big hall.
no. Is King's Place good?
It's nice, but it's small.
It's small, yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's hard to believe that your big halls are just so mediocre. Yeah. Well, and now that Simon Rattle is
Well, that's why he's going. I think he said
gone,
it wasn't,
yeah.
but I'm sure it was.
Yeah. What do you think the reason is, Stephen? There's not the will, or what?
I think people just consider classical music elitist. They'd rather put their money into sport and things, or it's politically looks bad. The Conservative Party think they'd be elitist, and the Labour Party thinks the same. They're just so worried about being seen as elitist. That's what's great. Our leader of the opposition, Keir Starmer, is a wonderful man. He said, he went on Desert Island Discs, and his one disc, if he had to take one, would be the Emperor Concerto, and he just adores it. And, he's quite honest about loving Beethoven classical music, whereas most of them wouldn't admit it, even if they did.
Maybe, I don't know what the situation is in Britain now, but with education in the schools.
They're cutting it down more and more and more. They're cutting down all money for they want they want industries, not the arts.
Oh, God, Stephen.
Never mind.
Well, before we part company, can you say something to cheer me up?
You're looking surprising, and you're not looking any older than you were 30 years ago.
Okay.
All right.
Stephen, bless you.
Lovely to see you.
Take care.
All right. Give my love to Leon.
I will. Thank you. Thank you. All right.
Bye.
Bye.